student named Rich Politiski in class today? Yo, Prof, that's me. You need to see me after class. I was a junior at UC Davis, enrolled in the course Western Civilizations. After class, I went to his office. I knocked on the door and I sat in a chair right in front of his desk. Then immediately, he slams down a piece of paper. All Quiet on the Western Front by Rich Politiski, with a big, fat, red F on it. I said, Prof, what's the deal? He said, Mr. Politiski, your assignment was to write a 10-page summary and reflection on the book All Quiet on the Western Front. And your paper was actually pretty good, up until I read the ending. You stated that the soldier jumped up out of the bunker to catch a yellow butterfly, and because of that, was shot dead. Well, Mr. Politiski, that didn't happen in the actual book. That only happened in the Hollywood movie. I was caught. I walked out of his office with my head down in complete shame. But still somehow I managed to graduate. And I remember everyone used to ask me, and I always proudly say, where'd you went to school? UC Davis. And you know what? I never bought a book. And you know what? I never read a book. And to tell you a little secret, I never read a book in high school either. But because of a life-changing event, I have discovered the awesome power of reading. And this evening, I'm going to tell you about one book and one event that changed my life. That book is The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson. The Slight Edge is about doing simple things consistently over time that produce a compound effect. It's about the small choices you make each day. To work out or not. To eat healthy or not. To read or not. Imagine you were given this choice. $1 million or a penny. It's not too difficult a choice. But throw in this caveat. That penny would be doubled each day for 31 days straight. Now, what choice would you make? If you chose $1 million, you would have shortchanged yourself $10 million. After my life-changing event, The Slight Edge was the first book that I read. And I was determined after I read it to find my life's purpose, to find my passion. I was determined to grow myself every day. So I committed myself to the Slight Edge compound choice of reading 10 pages a day of a good self-development book. The compound effect after a year was a total of 3,650 pages. I read 22 books that year. But even better, by reading every day and applying what I learned to my life, I also discovered my passion. I love being a teacher. Recently, I applied the Slight Edge to public speaking. About 2 years ago, I joined Toastmasters, like many of you, to conquer my fear of public speaking. According to the Slight Edge compound effect, I attended those meetings on a regular, consistent basis. Then, for the first couple meetings, I forced myself to get up and give only a 1-minute table topic speech. Then for the next couple meetings, I forced myself to get up again, give a 2-minute table topic speech. Then the 3-minute invocation, then the 4 to 6 minute icebreaker, then a 5 to 7 minute speech, a 6 to 8 minute speech, an 8 to 10 minute speech. And now I'm standing in front of you, good and handsome people, in a Toastmasters speech contest. Doing the simple things over time produced the compound effect of me conquering my fear of public speaking and finding my passion in life. Now you may have wondered, what was that life-changing event? After Davis, I went to law school for about 1.5 years. What else was I going to do with a poli-sci degree, right? But with no passion for law school, and remember still not reading any book, I soon got that letter that told me that I got kicked out for bad grades. I still remember that date. It was December 23rd, 1995. But I remember it for a different reason. Later that same night, I called up my bros. I was feeling down, so we went out drinking. We went from bar to bar, to bar to bar. And I drank way too much. I was hammered. But then I made the worst decision of my life. I drove myself and my two friends home that night. But we never made it home. 2 days later, I woke up on a hospital bed on December 25th. Both my friends were in the hospital as well, and one had serious injuries. Then, on that Christmas Day, while lying on my hospital bed, I made two promises. Number one, I would never drink and drive again. And yes, I've kept that promise. And number two, I truly believe that none of this would have ever happened, getting kicked out of law school and this horrible accident, if I would have just read the law school books. So from that day on, I read every day, and I committed myself to self-improvement, not self-destruction. Aristotle said, we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but it's a habit. Just reading one nonfiction book every month will put you into the top 1% of all Americans. I encourage you all to build your own personal library and make sure it includes both motivational and self-improvement books. Inside my Kindle, right here, I have only 15 books. Now you may be thinking, Rich, only 15 books? Yeah, and here's why. Because I read those same books over and over again and again. And that's not because, as my wife likes to point out, that I'm a slow learner. It's because of this secret. Each time I read them, I discover a new idea and I apply it directly to my life. Knowledge without action is power wasted. Now, when people question me on where I went to school, I say, I recently received my master's from Azusa Pacific. And you know what? I bought all the books. And you know what? I read them all. Madam Toastmaster.
Can we have 1 minute on the clock for our judges to write their notes?